You ever feel it? That strange silence before chaos. Somewhere across the world, in a quiet room in Japan, a psychic suddenly stopped breathing for a moment, not because of fear, but because of you. Yeah, you heard that right. They said your energy didn't just change, it exploded. Like a storm breaking through a dead sky, like a spark in a world full of ashes. Most people walk through life like ghosts, invisible, predictable, asleep. But your energy shifted so violently. It was like the universe itself turned its head and whispered, "Who the hell is that?" And when the vision came, it wasn't soft. It wasn't peaceful. It was raw, powerful, unstoppable. Because sometimes the most dangerous moment in the world is when a person finally realizes who they really are. And tonight, we're going to talk about that moment. There are moments in life that arrive quietly, almost invisibly. No thunder in the sky, no alarms, no dramatic warning signs. Yet something inside begins to move. A subtle tension forms beneath the surface, like pressure building deep underground before an earthquake. For most people, these moments pass unnoticed because they are too distracted by the noise of daily life. But when a true shift begins, it does not stay small for long. It grows, it spreads, and eventually it changes the entire atmosphere around a person. Energy is not something you can see with your eyes, but everyone feels it. Walk into a room, and sometimes you instantly sense the mood without anyone speaking. The same thing happens with people. Some carry an energy that feels heavy, tired, predictable. Others carry something different, something intense that makes people look twice without understanding why. When your energy begins to change, the world starts reacting before you even realize what is happening. At first, the shift is internal. Thoughts that once felt normal begin to feel small. The things that used to excite you suddenly feel meaningless. Conversations that once seemed important now sound empty and repetitive. It creates a strange feeling of distance, like you are standing in the same place as everyone else, but somehow living in a completely different reality. Many people misunderstand this stage. They think something is wrong with them, when in reality something powerful is waking up inside them. This awakening doesn't arrive politely. It breaks routines, questions beliefs, and forces you to see life differently. The comfort zone that once felt safe begins to feel like a cage. You start noticing patterns in people, in society, in the way the world operates. It becomes impossible to unsee these things. Awareness grows sharper, almost like your mind has switched to a new frequency. When this shift intensifies, others begin to notice it too. They might not be able to explain it, but they feel it. Some will be curious. Some will feel inspired. Others will feel uncomfortable because powerful energy exposes the limitations in people who refuse to grow. Suddenly your presence starts creating reactions without you saying a single word. People pay attention differently. They listen more carefully, or sometimes they keep their distance without understanding why. Energy shifts are rarely calm experiences. They are chaotic, emotional, and often confusing. One day you feel unstoppable, like there is a fire burning in your chest pushing you forward. The next day you might feel isolated because the path you are walking no longer matches the paths of people around you. That contrast is part of the transformation. Growth has a strange way of separating you from environments that once defined you. During this stage, your perception becomes stronger. You start noticing the intentions behind words. Fake confidence becomes easy to recognize. Empty motivation begins to sound like background noise. You become less interested in approval and more focused on authenticity. This is when your energy stops trying to fit into the world and starts shaping its own direction. The most intense part of an energy shift is the realization that you cannot return to who you used to be. Once the mind expands and the inner fire ignites, The old version of you feels like a distant memory. It's like waking up from a long dream and suddenly understanding how small your previous world really was. What once seemed impossible begins to look achievable, and what once seemed important begins to look irrelevant. People who experience this kind of shift often feel like they are standing at the edge of something huge, but undefined. There is excitement mixed with uncertainty, curiosity mixed with intensity. It feels like being pulled forward by a force you cannot fully explain. Yet deep inside, there is a quiet certainty that something meaningful has started, something that will reshape the way you live, think, and move through the world. The energy that once slept inside you is no longer silent. It is awake, restless, and impossible to ignore. Across the world, people sometimes experience moments that feel connected even when distance separates them. Imagine a quiet place in Japan where someone suddenly feels a vision forming inside their mind. Not a dream, not a random thought, but something deeper that carries weight and meaning. In that vision, they see energy shifting, moving in ways that cannot be explained through science alone. They feel a presence, a force, something powerful yet mysterious. And somehow, that vision is about you. The idea that someone could sense your energy from another part of the world sounds strange at first. Many people dismiss such concepts because they believe only what can be measured, touched, or scientifically proven. But history and human experience are full of moments where intuition, spiritual awareness, and emotional perception have revealed things that logic could not immediately explain. Sometimes people carry an inner signal that resonates beyond physical boundaries. The vision was not described as peaceful or soft. It was intense, sharp, and overwhelming, like standing at the center of something that is both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Because true power is rarely gentle when it first awakens. When transformation begins inside a person, it often sends vibrations into their behavior, their decisions, and even the way others feel around them. Think about how energy works in human interaction. When someone enters a room with confidence, others naturally respond. When someone carries fear or doubt, that feeling spreads silently through posture, tone, and expression. Now imagine a shift so strong that it does not stay inside you alone, but becomes noticeable even to people who have never met you. The psychic's vision symbolized more than a person. It represented a transformation that was violent in its intensity, not in a destructive sense, but in the way change sometimes breaks the old structure of life. Just like a storm reshapes the ocean, powerful internal awakening can reshape identity, purpose, and direction. The word violent here does not mean harmful. It means unstoppable, overwhelming, and impossible to ignore. In many traditions, visions are believed to represent hidden truths rather than literal events. The idea of someone seeing your energy across the world is a symbolic way of saying that your influence, potential, or presence carries weight beyond ordinary expectations. It suggests that something inside you is growing stronger, something that refuses to stay silent. The world often tries to measure people by visible achievements alone, but there is another dimension that cannot be measured by numbers. It is the dimension of character, intention, and inner force. Some people spend their lives trying to fit into systems that were never designed for their awakening. But when energy shifts at a deep level, conformity begins to feel uncomfortable, almost suffocating. The vision about you represents a possibility, not a guarantee, not a prophecy written in stone, but a reflection of what happens when a person reaches a level of self-awareness that changes the atmosphere around them. It suggests that your existence is not meant to be quiet in the sense of being forgotten. Instead, it carries a vibration that moves outward, touching places and people you may never meet directly. When your presence begins to feel different, the world around you starts reacting in ways you may not immediately understand. It is not always about loud achievements or visible success. Sometimes it is something deeper, something that sits inside your expression, your silence, and the way you carry yourself. People often think power is about dominance, noise, or attention, but true distinction is usually quieter at first. It lives in the details that most people overlook. The way you speak, the way you pause before answering, the confidence hidden inside your calmness, and even the way you observe others, instead of constantly trying to be observed. Feeling different from others is not always comfortable. There is a strange emotional space that forms when you begin to realize that your perspective is changing. Things that once entertained you may start feeling meaningless. Conversations that revolve around negativity, comparison, or empty validation start feeling heavy. This does not mean you become disconnected from humanity. Instead, it means your mind is developing a filter that protects your focus and your purpose. Your energy stops absorbing everything around you and starts selecting what deserves your attention. When your presence becomes stronger, people will react to it in different ways. Some will feel inspired because your confidence reflects possibilities they are afraid to explore themselves. Others may feel uncomfortable because your existence highlights their own limitations. This is a natural human response to growth. People often project their fears, expectations, or insecurities onto individuals who are evolving beyond familiar boundaries. Understanding this helps you stay emotionally stable while continuing your transformation. The feeling that you are different does not automatically mean you are superior to others. It simply means your path is developing in a unique direction. Every person has potential, but not everyone chooses to activate it. Some people spend their lives repeating patterns inherited from society, family expectations, or fear of failure. Others reach a moment where they decide that their life must follow a more authentic direction. That decision is where energy shifts begin to manifest in visible behavior. As your presence changes, your standards also change. You become more careful about what you accept into your life. You start valuing time more seriously because you understand that time is the real currency of existence. You stop participating in environments that drain your mental strength. Instead, you search for situations that encourage growth, learning, and meaningful progress. People may begin describing you differently without realizing why. They might say you look stronger, more focused, or more mysterious than before. Sometimes they cannot explain what changed, but they can feel it. This happens because confidence is not always loud. Sometimes it is expressed through stability, consistency, and the absence of unnecessary emotional noise. The strongest sign that your presence is becoming different is not how people praise you, but how they behave around you. When energy shifts deeply, you will notice that some people respect your silence more than your words. They listen carefully when you speak, because your words carry weight. This does not happen through force. It happens because your inner world has started reflecting itself outward. Your presence becomes a signal that something inside you has crossed a threshold, and there is no returning to the old version of yourself. Power often lies hidden, buried beneath habits, fears, and the opinions of others. Most people go through life never realizing the strength that exists within them because it requires discomfort, risk, and self-awareness to unlock it. You have always carried potential that surpasses what you've allowed yourself to see. It may have been quiet, almost dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken. That moment comes when the internal pressure of knowing you are capable of more finally breaks through the layers of doubt and hesitation. It is not something that happens gradually to everyone. It arrives violently, like a spark igniting fuel, demanding attention, demanding action, demanding recognition of your own force. The power you've been hiding is not always obvious to the outside world. It is subtle at first, expressed in small choices that slowly reshape your habits, your mindset, and your relationships. The way you hold your thoughts, the decisions you make under pressure, and even the way you respond to challenges quietly signal that there is a different energy operating within you. When this power starts to surface, it creates a ripple effect. People notice, often without understanding why. Your aura, your presence, and the confidence that radiates from authenticity become impossible to ignore. Fear often stands in the way of acknowledging true power. Many avoid it because real power requires responsibility, sacrifice, and confrontation with uncomfortable truths. It asks you to question everything you've accepted as normal and challenges the versions of yourself that were shaped by limitations and societal expectations. Hiding your power may feel safe, but safety is an illusion for those who are meant to transform. True strength cannot stay buried indefinitely. Sooner or later, it begins to push outward, reshaping your environment, your relationships, and your perspective on life. When you finally acknowledge it, you start to notice how much influence you have had all along. It is in the way people respond to you unconsciously, in the subtle shifts in conversation, in the hesitation of those who realize you are no longer following the same patterns. Power is never about controlling others. It is about mastery over yourself. The more you step into your energy, the clearer it becomes that your impact has been waiting for your recognition to manifest fully. This kind of power can be isolating at first. As you grow stronger, people who were once close may feel the shift and either align with your energy or retreat. This is a natural part of transformation. Those who cannot handle the intensity of your presence often drift away, and that is not a loss. It is an opening, a space for new energy, new experiences, and new people who match your level of growth. Understanding this helps you navigate life with clarity and intention, rather than confusion or fear. The power you've been hiding also manifests in your creativity, decision-making, and resilience. You start approaching problems with a different perspective, seeing solutions that were invisible before. You feel a force inside that refuses to be ignored, guiding your actions with precision, conviction, and urgency. Every challenge becomes a test of alignment with your true potential, and every success reinforces the energy that has been waiting to emerge. Once recognized, this power cannot be contained. It demands action, attention, and authenticity. It shifts your focus from seeking validation to creating impact, from following paths laid by others to forging your own direction. People around you can sense the difference because energy resonates beyond words. It is felt, seen, and sometimes even feared. And as you step fully into your power, the transformation is undeniable. It is raw, unstoppable, and undeniable. Marking the moment when the dormant force inside finally becomes visible to the world. Becoming the chaos that changes everything does not mean embracing destruction for the sake of destruction. It means understanding that true transformation is rarely peaceful at the beginning. Chaos, in this sense, represents breaking old limitations, questioning established patterns, and refusing to remain trapped inside a life that does not reflect your inner truth. Every powerful revolution in human history started with disruption. Something had to break before something new could be built. The same principle applies to personal transformation. When you decide to become the force that changes your own reality, you are choosing a path that may feel uncomfortable, unpredictable, and emotionally intense. Chaos is often misunderstood because people associate it with loss of control. In reality, controlled chaos can be a powerful driver of growth. Think about creativity, innovation, and breakthrough thinking. Many ideas that changed the world were once considered unrealistic. strange, or even dangerous by conventional standards. When you begin to operate outside the boundaries of ordinary expectations, people may struggle to understand your direction. Some will call it rebellion. Others will call it madness. But those who recognize potential will see it as evolution. The chaos that changes everything starts inside the mind. It begins when you stop accepting life as something that happens to you and start treating life as something you participate in shaping. This shift alters your relationship with fear. Fear no longer becomes a signal to stop. Instead, it becomes a signal that you are approaching something meaningful. People who never challenge their comfort zones often live predictable lives because predictability feels safe. But safety without growth slowly transforms into stagnation. When you become the chaos that changes everything, your existence starts challenging systems that depend on conformity. This does not necessarily mean fighting society directly. It means living in a way that proves that alternative paths are possible. Your discipline, your focus, and your determination become silent demonstrations that success is not limited to a single formula. You stop competing with people who are walking different journeys, and instead focus on mastering your own potential. The emotional experience of this transformation can be intense, because growth often requires letting go of identities that once defined you. You may feel moments of loneliness because your mindset, goals, or vision may no longer align with the majority around you. This loneliness is not a punishment. It is a natural byproduct of moving into a new level of awareness where only certain types of energy can stay connected to you. As chaos transforms into purpose, your decisions become sharper. You begin to act with intention rather than reaction. Instead of responding emotionally to every situation, you learn to observe first and choose later. This level of control creates an aura of stability, even when your internal world is evolving rapidly. People may perceive you as calm, mysterious, or even intimidating because your energy is no longer scattered. Becoming the chaos that changes everything means accepting that transformation itself is your greatest weapon. You are no longer trying to fit into structures that limit your growth. Instead, you are becoming the force that reshapes your path, your mindset, and ultimately your destiny. The world does not always celebrate people who carry disruptive energy, but history shows that progress is often driven by those willing to stand at the edge of uncertainty and move forward anyway.